To the next topic.
People walk into here without any
but
process at all, and
true.
now you're
Listen,
trying to gum up the works to keep them here.
A lot of them came in. A lot of them came in with parole. A lot of them came.
Whoops.
And polling shows
There we go.
54% of Americans want Mr.
November
Abrego
polling showed
Garcia
Donald
back.
Trump won the
That's
election.
CNN
So
polling.
I don't-
Well, you know
November
what?
Republic
polling
is shifting.
showed-
All
right.
We are a sovereign
Guys.
nation, and you cannot just come into our
All right.
country illegally whenever the heck you want, because we can't do it to any other country on the face of
Asylum
this
is
earth.
a legal
If you
right.
come in
Can't
illegally,
revoke due
you have to
process.
leave. Americans are tired of that. We do not have unlimited
You
resources.
know who was here illegally?
All right, I'm going to pause that for a moment, though. But as you can see, CNN is not, or Abby Phillips, she is not getting control of this panel, and it's definitely about to go off the rails here.
No doubt.
Deportation order. Marco Rubio's grandfather.
All right. We're
not talking about
let's.
Marco Rubio.
Oh, now we're not. No, that's not relevant.
Hey, pause real quick, TR, because I do want to make a point. One of the things that the Dems always push back with when it comes to these conversations are being an asylum seeker is not illegal. Okay, you're partially correct. There's a process for if you are coming to this country seeking asylum, and they're skipping over that process too. So that's what makes it illegal. I think we need to call that out because this is a word salad argument, and it's just a distraction.
Yeah, agreed.
About Marco
relevant to this
Rubio because
conversation
Marco
at
Rubio
all.
used to be an advocate for TPS for Venezuelans, and Marco Rubio used
Well,
to
I'm
be
not Marco
an
Rubio.
advocate
and
for
let me
Nicaraguans
tell you
and
my
Cubans.
beliefs.
No,
If
I
you
know
come
you're
into
not.
this country illegally, you are going home. Simple as
Okay.
that. We do
Listen,
not have unlimited
I
resources
think
in
a
this
lot of
country
Americans-
to take care of other
There's
people.
a hell of
We
a
have
lot
our
of
own
people,
people
other than the
first,
black
Anna.
people who were brought here as slaves who came to this country illegally.
They're
From a
not
lot
the
of
same as
different-
black people who were brought here
Ooh.
against
That's
our will.
exactly what I
They
just said.
decided
I
to
said
walk
there is
their
a
butts
lot
across
of
the
people
border. There's a
other
big
than the
difference.
black
There is
people.
a big
That's
difference.
exactly what
There's
I
a
just
big
said.
difference.
That's
Share
exactly
Michael,
what I just
share
said,
Michael
Sir Michael.
and
Look and
Anna.
act indignant. That's
Okay.
exactly what
It's
I
not
just
about
said.
acting
I-
indignant.
Yes, it is.
let me
You
just
just heard me
share
say
Michael.
that
That
other
on
than the black
Abby?
Anna
people
and
who
share
came
Michael.
as
There's more
slaves.
high
There
ground
are
here.
a lot of people from
Share
many,
Michael. I
many
think you
countries
actually
that came
misheard
here
what she.
illegally.
I think you misheard what she.
But see, this is why I dislike Abby Phillips so much, because if it's anybody else, if it's a Democrat going after a Republican, she will 1000% go after or try to talk that person down. But she will never do that on the other way. Actually, if anything, if a Republican goes after a Democrat, well, the funny thing is Ana Navarro, the Latina, she's a registered Republican. You can't tell from some of the things that she does essentially, or the things she says about the Republican Party, as well as Trump. So whenever Abby Phillips is on there, she will always lean to the left, and she will always take the side and try to be the voice of reason, or even cut off people that are Republican and try to be like, no, you're misreading it, you misheard it, that's not accurate. Like, instead of being like a moderator, she turns into a commentator on her show, and she's supposed to be moderating, not putting her own opinions into it.
Yeah. So basically her bias is showing. That's basically what you're saying, which by definition makes you a bad moderator. Sorry, Abby, but it's true. And first of all, she didn't misspeak. We heard what she said. She said black people that were brought here via slavery were brought here illegally. They came here illegally. There's so many things wrong with that. First of all, we did not come here. We were forced here.
We got like 30 more seconds of this.
Yeah.
She said.
No, he purposely misheard.
She said.
I purposely
Yes, she
misheard.
did.
So now you're in my
Share
brain.
Michael. Listen to me for
Is
just a second.
is that where we're going?
You
Share
think
Michael.
I would
Listen to me
say
for a
I will
second.
have advocated
Anna,
for black
please
people
stop.
my entire life and
Anna,
say something like that?
Anna,
Give me a
Because
damn
you've
break.
advocated for black
Anna,
people,
please
great.
stop.
Congratulations. Last time I checked, I'm black. You're not.
Got it.
Okay, share Michael.
That's right. I'm Latino, and my people are being racially
It is-
profiled.
it is-
and
And do I have to
unfairly
remind you the history of my people?
Share
If
my-
you
I
want
have
to
to
go
read-
there?
no, I
Did you
don't.
really
Okay,
want to go
we're
there?
gonna
and
go to
never
break.
high
know the
ground?
history.
Raul,
You're
we're going to
kidding
go to
me?
break.
You know
Raul
why?
Reyes,
Because
thank you
history
very much for
was
joining us.
history.
Everybody else,
History
hang tight.
History was not
We'll be right back.
That was probably the best thing she could do because she wasn't going to bring those emotions back down.
Usually Scott is the one leading all of this, and then I've seen this guy on here, Sure Michael, the black dude on there, and I mean he usually cooks stuff, but I just never know his name because he doesn't go viral on any of this stuff. But I'm sure Michael Singleton, yeah, him and Anna, definitely not gonna be shaking hands at any point soon though. But the point in all that is this is 100%, and again, Anna Navarro is a registered Republican. but she's not a Republican. She's a damn rhino. And then she's also like, carrying water for the Democrats. This is like one of the things that I don't understand when we have this conversation, especially with Black Americans, because we get the history with how Black people were brought into America, and then the things that we had to do, or our ancestors had to do, in order to survive, and then get past slavery and survive. And then and I will admit that there are some things that have we just, as a culture, we just have not been able to shake or get away from. You can call it for whatever you want. You can say there's some other stuff involved with that. I like to know along the lines like some of this is self-inflicted, though, because we can definitely come together, and we rely too much on the Democratic Party to save us. That said, Anna Navarro, this is something that they always say, or when they try to have this conversation about illegal immigration, is that they bring up the slavery conversation. And if a white man said this, a white Republican man said this, he'd be all over it. He'd be all over the socials. He'd be everywhere. They would be talking like, this is what we were talking about. Anna Navarro says it, and not that no one's really going after her, though, because I'm in a lot of Black spaces. No one's even brought this conversation up, though. And it's great that Shermichael brought this up, though, because, again, Black Republicans get the most smoke, and we do the most defending when it comes to BS like this. And Anna Navarro is someone who just loves to use Black faces to push her point or whatever her agenda is, but she doesn't really stand with Black people. None of them stand with Black people. They're just pro-Democrat.
So I'm talking to all Black people right now. We are a very emotional group of people. They know that, and they take advantage of it.
Yeah.
This particular point didn't go the way she thought it was going to go, because I've seen this before. When conversations like immigration come up, I noticed some of the folks in the Latino community like to compare that experience to slavery, or the Black American experience. It's not comparable. But what we need to do is don't get emotionally charged when they try to do that. What you need to do is let them put their own foot in their mouth.
Yeah.
Me personally, if I was sitting there and she made that statement, I'd say, oh, well, okay, well, since you're the expert on Black people and the big advocate, tell me what the biggest issues are in the Black community right now. And then you sit back and you let her put her own foot in her own mouth.
That's a good point.
But this is a liberal tactic, actually. Before I left the Dems in 2010, a lot of them would do that to me. They try to get you riled up on emotional talking points to get you to do what they need you to do to push their agenda forward. It doesn't benefit you. It's going to benefit them. It's kind of like how, if we're being honest, and we've said this before, with DEI and affirmative action, hell, you can throw the civil rights movement in there too. You can make a very strong case that white women benefited from all of this more than anybody else.
Yeah.
But historically speaking, if you look at the contributions that Black people have made to the United States, they don't receive the most benefits for their contributions. So this is my call to you all to say, stop being emotional, stay calm. And these types of people, put them in positions where they can put their own foot in their mouth, because that's how Donald Trump beat Kamala Harris. She came in with a whole bunch of emotional talking points, and it didn't work. And Trump was a lot more calmer this time than he was when he was dealing with Hillary. He let Kamala put her own foot in her own mouth. And that's how you deal with people like that.
Yeah. He honestly, I mean, he didn't have to say too much. There's a video, if I can find it, I'll play it. Speaking of Kamala, but yeah, this is one of those things where my goal for like on this channel is to kind of like have this discussion on a lot of topics, but also when it comes to politics, I'm not saying you got to vote for Trump. I'm not saying you got to be like in love with Trump or whatever the case is. But if you're going to say you're going to carry water for the Democrats, you got to be able to tell me why. You got to be able to tell me, you got to convince me like, okay, I get your point. That makes sense. But for the most part, for Black people, everything you say that's wrong with Trump, or at least the Republican Party, and I understand the Republican Party does have an image that they need to fix. And I feel like they made a lot of, strides in fixing that as well, too. Because I don't believe that, the party of the triple Ks and the party of the Jim Crow laws, those are all Democrats. Those weren't Republicans. So people always talk about history. Well, I don't think people really realize what the Democrats, where they were versus where they're at now. And nowadays, I heard somebody just say that if the Latino population continues to grow, which that was kind of the playbook for the the Joe Biden administration and Kamala administration, or potentially Kamala. No matter if Black Americans, wait a second, but even if Black Americans voted at 100%, it wouldn't even matter because we've lost the voting power, and the voting power has actually dwindled because even in this past election, if all Black Americans voted for, Kamala, it would have made a difference because you're not going to get all the white vote, you're not going to get all the Latino vote, and maybe you might get some Asian vote, but at the end of the day, if you can't bring those communities over, or at least if people on the Republican side don't vote, the Black vote just isn't going to matter. Probably in the next 2 election cycles, because if the Latino and, like I said, the white votes continue to grow, well, I guess white votes aren't really growing, but there's definitely they tend to lean more to the right outside of the the Joe Biden election. But outside of that, though, for the most part, yeah, they tend to lead more towards the conservative side. So for Black Americans, yeah, honestly, the vote probably won't matter in the next election cycle. There's just not enough of us to swing the vote. Like it used to be, you have to win the Black vote. I don't think that's going to be the case in the next 2 election cycles.
And also, to be honest with you, I think the Dem strategy with the Latinos is going to backfire on them anyway. Look, a lot of the Latino people that come here are very family oriented. They tend to be more conservative than people give them credit for, especially if you talk to ones that have come here from like Cuba or places like Venezuela, places with heavy socialism. They'll tell you it was trash, and that's why they're here in the first place. So that right there, you're probably going to lose some votes. You're bringing them here. You're promising them citizenship, and you're not coming through unless they have kids, and you're giving them these benefits. But you can look at the exit poll results. We talked about this late last year. I think Trump took almost half of the Latino vote. So apparently what they're doing is not even working in the first place. So that's just got to be mindful of stuff like that. The Dems' problem is they continue to suck at reading the room. They don't know why they lost, even though people keep telling them over and over again. And they don't seem to understand or comprehend. And these are supposed to be Harvard educated scholars. You just lost your biggest fundraiser in Lindy Lee. That's a whole lot of money that just went out the door. And now she has been on a complete mission to air out the entire ratchetness of that party. And what their strategy was to pay a whole bunch of celebrities and thoughts to inspire people to get to the polls and vote. Come on, man. You're supposed to learn lessons from your losses, not do the same thing over again. And AOC is on a mission right now to run for president. And she's out making her speeches. You think bringing AOC in, somebody who leans even further left than Kamala, is going to solve your problems?
Yeah. See, this is the thing that Black people, this is what's going to happen. And it's going to be too late, though, because even though Trump's not running in the next election cycle, though, they're going to think like whoever they put up there is going to be for Black people. None of those people are going to be for Black people. They don't care about the Black community, though, because they don't even have to win like even the majority vote. You're going to vote for them no matter what anyways. And so they have to wake up, though, because we have to wake up as a community and see that the Democrats are not for Black Americans. They're for themselves. And the people that they have in there to tell you, like the DL Hugleys, Kamala Harris is, she's not Black, but she's definitely up there. Even Michelle Obama. Like, there's a lot of these people that say they're working on behalf of Black people, but they're really not. Well, what have they really done to show you that they're here for Black people? And I know the flip side of that question is that what has Trump done for Black people? And there's a couple of things I can definitely point out, though, that people just won't give him credit for, starting with HBCUs. But ultimately, though, Trump doesn't need to do anything specifically for certain groups. He needs to do something for Americans. And that's what's most important. That's why it's hard for me to vote for anybody that's going to go into that's going to have any type of decision-making skill, or not skill, but decision-making power. And they have they check some of these boxes. because when they check those boxes, that's what they focus on. That's why it's difficult to like vote for, people that, however they want to identify. I'm like, I don't have a problem with you getting into the office, but if you bring your damn personal politics into it, I can't mess with it, because I don't want you putting your agenda on like 90% of the people out there that say they don't want it. And the majority of those people are scared to say something because they're going to get called a racist or a phobe.
Yeah. And I swear this is the most condescending party ever.
Yeah.
I'll start with this. Until we fix our family structure, we'll continue to be a joke politically. We'll continue to be a joke as a community. That's number one. Number two, TR, I just posted an article. The state of Oregon has decided to lower the math, reading, and writing standards because they felt they felt that it excluded people of color. That's basically a nice way of saying these ninjas is too stupid to hit these math metrics, so we're gonna drop them even lower. How is that not offensive to y'all and pisses y'all off? This is the type of stuff that the Democrats do. They think that they need to lower scores for us and keep us on welfare. Where meanwhile the Republicans is like, look, I'm gonna give you these tools, but I'll show you how to get there, but you got to do it yourself. I would much rather learn how to do it myself and get it out the mud, man. I don't need anybody lowering any math and science scores. This is so condescending, right? And this is why I had to leave the Dems back in 2010, and I stand by that decision to this day. But again, ultimately what comes back to, until we figure out how to fix our families, we will continue to be a joke politically. And it's going to stay that way until we fix the family. And this is how I know y'all don't care about fixing the family. Donald Trump threw out something about giving people $5,000 to have kids. And I saw so many black people say, oh, well, this is just something to repopulate white people. This ain't black business. This is black business. You are included in that $5,000 credit.
Yeah.
Our population has always stayed around 12 to 14%. We have not had any population growth in this country because we lead the league in most baby deletions. And we have the highest divorce rates, and we can't stay together. So this tells me that y'all happy with these problems that we have. Y'all don't want to fix nothing.
Hey, respectfully, MC, I don't like that cream pie tax, that tax credit. I just don't.
Officer Tatum said he would support it if you only give it to married people. He said he was fully supported if that caveat was made.
Yeah, I think it's written only for married people though. But I mean, I used to be on the defense of, I used to be on the side of like, you got to incentivize people. But right now, women are incentivized already. So just to do it for $5,000, maybe they could do it. I don't know. But they're already incentivized. And who's to say they don't even have to have a kid to be incentivized? Or I shouldn't say incentivized, like to be married. If they get a divorce, they're incentivized to get a divorce, and they will walk away with half in most cases. So yeah, look, let's focus on the Doge tax refund, and then we can have that conversation, because I rather have them claw back the money that they've been pissing away on silly projects that too many to list. Versus,
so here's where we're going to disagree, TR, because we have a family crisis in this country, and I'm not just talking about black people anymore. I'm talking about the United States as a whole. The average, I think it's 1.3 now for the average kids per family. And I've heard economists say that average needs to at least jump up to 2.3 in order for us to sustain Social Security and GDP outputs. So the same thing that's happening in Japan right now will eventually happen to us and China to a degree. China's economy is suffering because there's a lack of people too, because you remember they used to do things with daughters back in the day. But we're going to have those same problems if we don't have more people putting into the system that are taking out. Because once these baby boomers start increasing their Social Security, we're going to have all kinds of problems as a country because we don't have enough people to fill those coffers.
You know how you want to solve that problem? I can tell you, like, this is how you solve it. You ready? You ready, MC?
Go ahead.
Warning, enemy nuke has been launched. Repeat, enemy nuke has been launched.
And that's how you solve it. You got to drown everybody. Like you got to get rid of the people that mess it up. And the people that mess it up, unfortunately, it started with feminism. Women fought hard to, want to work in these factories, want to work in these corporate jobs, want to be, CEO of Nabisco. They fought hard to be in these places, and everyone keeps telling them that they don't have to have kids. I saw a post about a woman said you don't have to have kids until you're in your 40s. Well, good luck because you won't have any grandparents. And so I don't know why people you're just not gonna be able to fix it because they know that there's a problem and but I mean, as long as Planned Parenthood still exists, that's just going to be a problem. And the Black community has not grown since Planned Parenthood has been installed in our communities. So that's not going to happen. I mean, if the Black community, if anything, is going to shrink more, if that's even possible. But yeah, it's just when it comes to like family, and then the more that men are waking up though, because they know that they're going to lose. Well, they know that the courts are not fair to men in most cases. Well, the courts aren't fair to the one who makes the most money. So if you make the most money, you're gonna get railed, which typically tends to be the man. So and then the family courts, I mean, we're starting to hear more and more stories. So as much as social media has given rise to like women be able to tell their truth, it's also exposed them too. So I think men are starting to smart up and think that, hey, we're not going to be, we're not going to be the ones that end up losing in this case. And you see people like Shannon Sharp, where they're like, I don't want to marry a woman around my age, or Tracy Ellis. I'd rather there's going to be young something, and hopefully it doesn't go, south, and then we're all good. Had he not had that audio leak, I don't think we would have heard about this situation, and he would still have been clapping those clapping those cheeks. So I think for most men, I think they're kind of waking up though, and men really need to wake up with the Shannon Sharp situation though, because you get exposed, everybody's coming for you, especially if you're a Black man. Everybody's coming for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna just end on this because we got so far off topic. I was looking up Anna Navarro's stances on a lot of different things. She's definitely a rhino. Go ahead and switch sides to the blue side. Everything that you stand on screams them. So go ahead over there with them.
Hey, real quick.